Hey guys, it's Justin. Decided to flip the angle around on my camera so I'm not so worried about the time, and I'm not really going to be showing anything. It's still more of my discussion from the first three videos. I would like to say I apologize for the first installment of my first three parts. Um, I had I filmed two different videos, but the second one was really long, like 17 minutes. YouTube didn't want me to upload it that long, so I uploaded part two, which was the first half of the second video, and then I uploaded part three, which was the second half of the second video. And they, some screwed up with part two, and so that didn't get uploaded. So if you saw part three last night, that was part three, and it was kind of out of sync, out of order. So if you're rewatching all this, go read where it says part one and everything, not how I loaded it, but part one and then part two and then part three. It goes in that kind of order. So anyway, as I was starting out yesterday, quoting David Leaf, moving on, and he is asked by ESQ, uh, Brian's God Only Knows demo on disc 5 has become one of my all-time favorite Beach Boy cuts, but I understand that the group is not necessarily happy with its inclusion on the box because the vocals aren't perfect. That was ESQ Lee Dempsey saying that. David Leaf responded, sometimes they maybe are a little too close to it. If it were 1975, I would agree with them that they're perfectionists, so no vocal outtakes. But I think albums like, and this is what I wanted to quote earlier, uh, but I but I think albums like 15 Big Ones and Love You ended the idea that no Beach Boys album goes out without perfect vocals. So I just thought that was a cool quote. Um, Moving on, he was talking about the CD inserts, and I showed those inserts on my review from, I don't know, 6 months ago. The one with the Surfer Girl image and the water. Um, you know what I'm talking about if you own the box. David Leaf says, these CD inserts, I don't get them. I don't understand uh, why they were on there. They didn't really go with it. So he wasn't a fan of that. I don't know who designed those. Um, there's another quote on page 14 I wanted to read. Starts out the box itself. Let's see. Yeah, this was about the box set, and what the original idea. The box itself, we had an unhappy experience with because I was hoping that it was going to be a 12 by 12 box like the back to mono box. Um, I added that because that's the last place where you can get album sized artwork. And as I knew that we were going to have the smile cover in the booklet, I wanted it to be an album size as well. Once you go down to a 6 by 12 book, then you know the biggest that your LP art can only be like 6 by 6, and that CD sized, sorry, and that's CD size practically. So, um, moving on, sorry, my cat's being weird. Go. Um, oh, about the box set uh, decor and stuff, what they used on there. He said he didn't really enjoy uh, how they had so much surf imagery and everything. He didn't like the back of the booklet where it says "Let's get together and do it again," quoting the "Do It Again" lyrics. Um, he didn't really like that. Didn't like the surfing van and all that. Um, Said a lot of people didn't realize that the cover of the box was a surfboard, so that's understandable on his part. Um, Said the cover of the booklet was actually better than the cover of the box, um, which That was the cover of the magazine, and I think this will be backwards if I show it to you. So that this picture is what he thought was a better cover. Said he was very proud of the Fairytale music that they put together. They put the Fairytale uh, background music all together on disc 4. That was one of the best bonus cuts in my opinion. Is very cool. Um, let's see. And he said he was quite surprised there was no Grammy nomination for the box. Um, Here's another quote I wanted to read on page 15. Um, it was from. Oh, and this is David Leaf talking. He says, and I can point very specifically to one significant piece of proof of that, which is the Jay Cox article in Time magazine, where he began it. A historical 5 CD retrospective restores the Beach Boys to their rightful place in the sun. It has taken 26 years, but the Beach Boys have finally settled the score with Sgt. Pepper. Wow. That's quite a quote. I thought that was a really cool thing he mentioned there from Time magazine. Excuse me. Something else that was mentioned in here, Capitol was deleting the twofers, and they started doing a thing called the Sweet 16 program. I don't know if I believe it was just releasing the albums on CD, but only as one album per CD, no bonus cuts, just on there once, not like it is where it was released like a year or two ago, where I had the mono and the stereo. It would just have what it was on the twofer, I believe, and then no bonus cuts. It was called the Sweet 16 kind of promotion or whatever, if you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if that meant like the 16 tracks, like, there was only that many on the albums, or they only did 16 of the albums itself, which that would make sense. They were talking about how that would do terrible, especially in places like Walmart. You're not going to sell too many Friends albums there in Walmart. That was some specific he said. Moving on. That's about it on that interview. Besides some interesting things, Lee Dempsey asked about video news. Of course, David Leaf at that time was in the know-how of all this stuff, and so he knew a lot of stuff that was going on. At one point, they were talking about one video was being done by Time Warner and Jerry Schilling, the original manager of the Beach Boys in the 80s. So that's cool. I don't know what became of that. There's another one he mentioned. Carl, Al, and Brian were in Ocean Way Studio fooling around. And I believe, and that was filmed. I don't know if the whole thing was filmed, but I think that is the footage of Brian making fun of Mike about the East Coast girls are hip there at the piano, and I was like, "Oh, that's terrible, Brian." It's just a joke. Obviously, Brian's sense of humor, but. I think that's when that was filmed, and I'm not exactly sure which documentary it's on. I think it may be on Endless Harmony. If it's not on there, then it's on. I don't think it's on the Don Was documentary. I think the Don Was documentary has the Audrey, Carl, and Brian scene in my room, and God only knows at the piano. I don't know if that's the same or not. And he also mentioned Don Was making a documentary. Of course, we all know that became I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. Great documentary. Go search it out if you haven't seen it yet. And he's also talking about a documentary called The Making of Pet Sounds, which was It's supposedly the same company that did the making of Sergeant Pepper, the video to that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really know a whole lot about the Pet Sounds video. I've seen the video. I used to, back in the days when I first got into Beach Boys around 2000, Endless Harmony was showing on AMC, and I believe Alan Boyd, I remember reading this in an interview in ESQ around 2000. Alan Boyd had leased out some different Beach Boys videos, and some different uh, things like they showed the Lost concert on there a bunch of times. Um, they did uh, just little things. There was one in particular. I feel like it was like around Wild Honey. I can't remember now. Um, what was the other one? Oh, I remember they showed the music video. It's a Good Time, and I remember that. Um, they kept showing a promo for Endless Harmony, the documentary. Um, and what else? They showed the Pet Sounds documentary, and I had that on VHS taped off there. I believe it's on uh, the CD DVD 40th anniversary of Pet Sounds from back in 2006. Uh, there was a DVD with that, and I think that's on there, the making of Pet Sounds, and it's kind of cool. It's older, kind of older stuff. Interviews with Brian, well, from the 90s, and Tony Asher. Mike Love is in there, and he's wearing a Home Improvement hat. Notice that if you're going to watch it. Um, I think that's all about mentionable for that. So I'd like to know how you guys felt about this new format of me discussing and not just observing and showing the magazine. If you like it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. Discuss how if you've read this, or how you feel about this. I thought I thought what I picked out was probably the most interesting stuff, and the whole interview is very interesting. But that on the whole was the stuff that I was very interested in, and thought that was really stuff that I thought was really cool. So um, I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I can do something like this here soon. Maybe not something as big as like 13 pages interview, but do a cool discussion. So, uh, love to hear from you guys. Uh, Let me know how things look. So, you guys have a great weekend, and thanks for being around. You take care.